Let me get this thing going and give you some kind of, I don't know, some kind of transition. Here we go.
Yeah, let's go. There's not a man that I fear. There's nobody here that can stop me. Cause I'm in a league of my own, yeah. Y'all can just sit back and watch me. They know who I am, they can't imitate. Don't stay in your lane, I'ma set it straight. I'm putting my way to the top. You get in my way, you know that I'ma renovate. You know I'm about to lock it. I'm the monster they was looking for, just like the Loch Ness. Looking they gon' knock me off the throne, they better stop it. They can never reach me where I'm at, I'm in a rocket cockpit. In other words, you can't touch me. It's like I got the ball and it's rugby. And you won't see me when I'm coming through. You can't stop me, I'm running through. I'm untouchable, yeah. 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 I'm untouchable,
Yeah.
Fees fight both from. I'm the giant that they running from. Taking shots, I think they jumped the gun.
I'm excited. Are you excited? Here we are, 125 people strong on a Saturday night, going live on the Confessionals. Let's do this. How you guys doing today? I'm here rapping with you on a Saturday night, having some good old times. I wanted to do this Friday, but my day went sideways and I got cranky at the end of the day. And unfortunately, I'm the kind of guy that has to wear his heart on his sleeve. And so when things go sideways for me, it's hard for me to go and be with y'all because I ain't feeling it. And when I ain't feeling it, it is what it is. You know, I often wonder what these radio guys do. When I used to drive truck, I would listen to the radio a lot, clearly. And I would listen to a lot of Philadelphia sports talk radio. And the one guy that was on there, he's no longer there. His name was Mike Mitzinelli, I think it was. Anyways, he was a miserable person. He was just a jerk. He was mean to people. And I often thought, you know, like outside of him, everybody else seems happy, but surely people can't always be having happy days. And well, it turns out that they are really good at, you know, putting it off to the side and the show must go on, they say, you know, because I mean, some of these guys are going through divorces and, you know, the kids just got suspended, you know, somebody's sick at home, they're sick, and they just come on the show and they're like, welcome to the show, everybody. We're really excited to be here to talk about Philadelphia sports. And I was like, man, how do you guys do that? And I was thinking about forcing myself to do it on Friday night, but I was like, you know what? I don't know. Like, I'm the boss. So if I ain't feeling it, I guess I don't have to do it. And so I didn't. I went home at like 7:00, irritated because I should have been home hours ago, but I was planning on doing a live show that I didn't wind up doing and just ruined my day. But here we are on Saturday. I had a long day because my daughter went to a princess thing. I don't even know what it was called. I just dropped her and mom off at the convention center, and they went dressed up like princesses for a couple hours. And me and the kid went to the Smoky Mountain Knife Works, and we went and got ourselves some fossils and cool things like that, things that the kid likes, and spent the day with my family. After that, we went to God's House of the Chick-fil-A, had some dinner, and then we went to the mall. We went to the stinking mall right there, the West Town Mall in Knoxville, and we got myself some new shirts because I'm going to a broadcasters conference next week. I'm going down to Texas, Dallas, Texas, and I will be there from Monday through Friday. At some kind of convention. It's a Christian broadcaster convention. Apparently, it's the Cat's Meow. I have never heard of it before last year, and I was invited to come down this year. So I'm going down, and I don't know what to expect. And apparently, some people dress in suits, and some people don't. So I'm going to be wearing jeans, Timbs, and button up because I don't do suits. So I barely do button-ups half the time. If you haven't noticed, I wear a lot of black t-shirts because I have zero style, and that's how I do it. So welcome here to another weird, I guess it's not a weird Wednesday. That was like, I think it's a time that we put Weird Wednesday to bed and we just do some kind of like live show. I am thinking about doing more live shows. I'm thinking about changing some things up here. My wife and I were discussing the possibility of her starting to pick up my son from school more often, allowing me to work later on certain days of the week, and allowing my schedule some breathing room to be able to do some lives. I actually do enjoy doing the lives when I actually get around to doing them. But believe it or not, when I don't do it very often, I tend to get anxiety before the live, like I did today. I'm like, oh man, I don't know. I don't know if this is going to be any good. I don't know if the people are going to like it. I don't know if I'll be able to deliver the topic. I don't know what I'm talking about. And then I realized I never know what I'm talking about. So what's new? Nothing. So let's get into it. I wanted to kind of talk to you guys about AI, the advancements in AI, quantum computing, and also some new revelations that have happened recently, actually this week, when it comes to the alien interrogation video that I had on the show this past week. Me and Jon Stewart talked about it. After we recorded that probably about, I don't know, 3-4 weeks ago, released it this week. And just as I released it this week, he comes out with new information that kind of expires the old information that was on the episode I just came out with. I was like, John, what are you doing to me? I get it, but what are you doing to me? And so I want to kind of cover that. There's some other random things that were popping in and out of my head, and we'll see if they pop back in because I can't seem to remember right now. Oh, just a fair warning to anybody who is, I don't know, crazy and listens to my show. Do not come to my house. Okay. Don't do it. We're having an uptick of crazy people, threatening to come to my house. And I promise you don't want to do that. So, I'll leave it at that, I guess. But I am kind of getting I don't know how to even react to this stuff anymore. I just don't. We had a guy in the North Georgia area threatening my life last year. I think it was maybe a little bit longer than that now. I think it was in the beginning of last year. He was. I can't say threatening my life, but he was walking that line. He was walking right up to that line where it was legal-ish. And then we had the guy in North Carolina. He was less threatening in the sense that he didn't want to kill me, but he lost his brain somewhere in his life and started telling me how he was going to portal into my living room, and then we were going to portal to some kind of mountaintop, and a bunch of fine honeys were going to be there. So I figured that guy might think my front door is a portal and just come marching through. So there's that. There's a couple others. There was a lady that came down from New York State, I think about 2 years ago. And she spent about a month and a half here in the Knoxville area looking for me. And I had to have the police tell her to go away. So yeah, we got a new one, friends. We got a new one. And I think I hope I was stern enough to deter any future interactions. But just for fair warning, don't come to my house, and don't do it. All right. You get me here, you come to my house, and it's going to be problems for everybody. So there's your PSA of the day. I hate to have to talk about that stuff because it's just, it's annoying. So, all right, let's get into some conversation here with our friend Jon Stewart. because Jon Stewart had some, and I didn't listen to the live broadcast that they did. I think it was yesterday. They were doing a live broadcast on another person's channel, Insulted. Okay, John, uh, just so you know, Insulted. We got hold on, what's going on here in the chat? DM says, Tony, you got 556. I'll bring double out buck. DM, that's the whole problem. I don't want you guys showing up to my house, okay? I appreciate the sentiment, but don't show up with double lot buck, because if you show up with double lot buck, you're going to be met with 556. Don't do it, okay? DM, I get it. I appreciate it, but don't show up in my house with a shotgun, okay? That's the absolute wrong thing to do in this situation. Oh man, I love you guys though. I really do. So Jon Stewart did a broadcast I think it was yesterday on somebody else's YouTube channel, breaking some news. And this news, I'm trying to figure out how to even start this off. Let me pull up his text message to me. That's probably a good way to do it. Where's John at? John. Let me just search for him here. Because I guess before we get to this news, I gotta talk to you guys about something that was said on the show that I didn't even realize was said on the show until I was made aware of it later after the show was aired. So John comes down, and I love talking to John. John's a great guy. I know John can be controversial, and people, some people don't like him, but you know what? People don't like me. So I don't freaking care. Like if I like John, he's coming on my show, just like everybody else. If I like them, they're coming on the show, period. Done. But John has a lot of energy, and he really just kind of goes rapid fire at you. And when that happens for somebody like me, who I'll just blame the ADHD, it's hard for me to keep up. And it's hard for me to catch everything that's being said at one time, process it, and then, spit it out. That definitely happened a couple times on that recording. And the one time it happened, it was during the name of Victor. And when he was exposing who Victor was, he said the name, and I'll say it here in a second, but I didn't know who the man was. It meant nothing to me. And so I didn't think to even question it beyond the name itself. I was like, oh, great. So-and-so. That's who it is. I don't know who that is. And I didn't understand why it was such a big deal. Until I started, I was on the YouTube channel on that video because I wanted to see what the production looked like, because we had this new studio set up, and with the TV behind John, the filter that had flickering, Jack suggested that it was a little busy and it might be distracting. So we're going to try to find a new filter. And while I'm watching the video of John talking, I see a comment come up saying something about, being mad that I interviewed him, and, they warned me not to have him on my show again. I'm like, who are you? I don't even know who you are, dude. Like, I don't care. And then he goes, and Victor is not Stan Deo. And I'm like, Stan Deo? No, nobody said Victor was Stan Deo. What are you talking about? Stan Deo was not mentioned on that recording one time. And so I went back to the transcript, and I found the spot that we were talking, and I listened to it. And to my surprise, but not shocked, because I'm not stunned that this happened to me, what John said was not what I heard. So when John was saying Victor is Stan Deo on my show, because he's rapid firing, I thought he said Stan Dale, Dale, Stan Dale. And so I don't know who Stan Dale is. And so I moved on. Okay, that's Victor. Stan Dale, don't know who that is, means nothing to me. Did not catch that it was Stan Deo. My mind was already made up. It was Stan Dale. And to my defense, when I went back and looked at the transcript itself said Stan Dale, because the way he said it, that's what I thought he said. And so Victor is not Stan Deo. He said Stan Deo, and Victor is not Stan Deo. And it's funny because I have a friend who is really good friends with Stan Deo. And he's like, I was just talking to Stan today, and I had no idea that he was involved in S4, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, yeah, I guess so. I don't know. Like, I don't know what to make of anything. I thought he said Stan Dale. And and then this week, let me pull this up here. There's this announcement. There's this big announcement that I see a couple posts on X that there's gonna be a live broadcast, groundbreaking stuff. And so I text John. I'm like, what's this groundbreaking stuff, man? And, can you give me a little bit of a heads up here? What's going on? And I don't think he'd mind if I read this to you. So I'm going to read you the text that he sent me. And my eyes are not good at this time of day. So bear with me, because normally for me to read this better, I have to get closer to the computer, and I'm not going to lean forward. So he says, wait, hold on. I'm going to text you everything. Okay. Yeah, we can skip that part. All right. So when I did the Limitless podcast, Matt Beals, Beales, said, well, you should probably confirm Victor's picture with the CEO of the Rocket Pictures to make sure you've got the right guy, no matter what anyone says. So I showed the director Victor's photo, Stan Deo's photo, and he said, no, it's not Stan Deo. And I told you his first name was Stanton, not Stan. That wasn't code for you. I was telling you the truth. His first name is Stanton. So after negotiations, this is the email I got from the director, finally naming the real Victor. And here is the email I got from the insider who had the Area 51 control entry log. We finally found our man. So this email, and he sent me a screenshot, says Victor, full name. Here is Victor. We finally got our man. We got the name. And it ain't Stan Deo, but it is a Stanton. Victor, full name. And I don't know who this is, by the way. So if y'all know who this is, cool. Maybe enlighten me. I looked him up, and I got an obituary. It's about as far as I got before my kids started pulling on me. Stanton John Willett. Social Security info, not going to give it. This is based on my nearly 30-year-old notes. I was briefly shown this card, but was not allowed to Xerox it. This was what I scribbled down in a somewhat hectic meeting. I can't tell you the 2 cities where he lived for sure, only where we flew him in from in 96 and met and picked him up in 2008. Phoenix Airport in 96, and in 2008, Rancho Cucamonga is how I'll pronounce it. I think I did a pretty good job. It sounds about right. And then there's another note that there are actually 2 Willets at Groom Lake. And I don't want to implicate the other man who is not involved here, so I'm going to refrain from reading his name. But, man, I'll tell you what. I still think that conversation was awesome. But darn it, I wish I would have caught Stan Deo in the moment, because I know who Stan Deo is. In fact, I would love to have Stan Deo on the show, but he's very, very selective with who he's willing to talk to. And Pastor Larry Ragland is one of them. He's my friend, actually, that I was mentioning earlier. So if you want to hear from Stan Deo, he's quite often on Pastor Larry Ragland's YouTube channel, The Big Picture. Unfortunately, I doubt he will come on our show, but it's okay. Looks like Larry Sharp gifted the Confessionals memberships. Huh, I didn't know you could do such a thing. You can gift a membership? Well, that's cool. And that's good on you, Larry. Good on you. Good man. Being kind and spreading the love. Spreading the love. Anyways, very cool. Very cool. Got distracted there. Sorry. Where were we at? So, it's not Stan Deo. It's not Stan Deo. Sound an alarm. It's not Stan Deo. And it's not Stan Dale, who I heard in the recording. It's Stanton John Willett. And that's all she wrote. Close the books, ride off in the sunset, game over, set, match. That's it. We are done. We figured it all out. The alien interview was leaked to the press by Stanton John Willett. We got here Scott in the chat asking, did Cliff High get back to me? Cliff High got back to me several times, but both times that he got back to me, he politely refused to come on the show. Master Jedi Dude says Stan Deo is an interesting man for sure. Certainly is. I would love to just sit there for 3 hours and let him tell his life story and just listen, pick his brain. My goodness. I mean, like, y'all, if you're not familiar with Stan Deo's life story, I don't even know where to direct you on figuring that out. But this dude, like, he was actually banned from entering the U.S. again until I think it was like 96 or 97 when the Clinton administration it was in the Clinton administration. Somebody within the administration read his book and then got him back in the country. But the guy was like stuck in Australia, I think it was. Let me see here. Stan Deo book. That might be a good place for you guys to start with, reading the book. Let's see here. The Cosmic Conspiracy. That's what it was. The Cosmic Conspiracy by Stan Deo. You can still get it on Amazon for $36.95. Interesting. So check out Stan Deo's work. Don't check out Stan Dale because there is no Stan Dale as far as I know. And Stanton John Willett, from what I can gather, is no longer with us. So there's that. How to spell his last name? Stan Deo is pretty simple. D-E-Y-O. D-E-Y-O. Stan Deo. D-E-Y-O. And that's all you need to know. All right. So I am live broadcasting on YouTube from my desktop, and the streaming, it just hit me, is glitchy because I think I'm streaming straight from the desktop, which means I think I need a new computer. So let's work on getting a new computer here. We'll have to do that. That's not fun because my wife needs a new computer too. Her screen cracked. I've been dragging my feet on that. Okay. Welcome to late night mind of Tony. It just kind of goes in and out. This is what happens. Well, that probably happens at like noon on a Wednesday too. So it is what it is. So have you guys heard about this progression, I guess is what we can call it, in AI and quantum computing? So we have to talk about this. And I really don't exactly know how to talk about this because like you got science guys, computer science guys that created and invented all this crap. There's smart people that work in IT that understand generally how to talk about science stuff and AI and computers. And then there's like monkeys in a cage that are being experimented on somewhere in North Carolina. And then there's me, okay? And then there's me. I don't know what I'm talking about with this. So bear with me because I can't even pronounce the name of I think it's the chip. But Microsoft, like, I don't know, 3 days ago, 4 days ago, announced that they had a breakthrough on like a 20-year study and research project. And what their breakthrough was basically has created the ability for quantum computing to take some massive leaps here. I'm trying to find my windows. So the idea generally was that quantum computing on a mass scale was probably decades away. And with this new breakthrough that Microsoft had, it's probably just a few years away. And that has a lot of implications on a lot of different areas, and good implications and bad implications, but probably mostly bad because all good things go bad, right? And you never have a bad thing turn good. If an apple's rotten, it stays rotten. You know, you have a short window of time where something is good, juicy, and tasty, and then it spoils. And I think that's what's going to happen with this. First of all, don't worry. You'll never have to deal with this, at least with your hands, because I doubt this new technology will ever make it to your hands or my hands. This is way too much power. And it's almost like I was talking to my brother about it the other day when I first heard about it. And it's almost like we are so when we had AI really hitting hard, right? And like AI used to be this far off concept, this like idea that was popping up in sci-fi movies and you know, it was just this concept that we knew was there in the sphere of possibilities. We saw it in movies and we're like, that's interesting. I could kind of see how that would work if AI and this artificial intelligence ever could even be possible. And that was, 30, 40 years ago. And then I would say probably about 10 years ago, it started picking up steam. And then I would say in the last 4 or 5 years, it became a reality, but untouchable by us. We couldn't put our hands on it. And then Mid-Journey happened. And I actually, it's probably ChatGPT that happened first, but all of a sudden we had access to this AI, and it started changing everything. And there were people concerned about it. There's still people concerned about it. I have friends who still have never used anything that has to do with AI. Silly them, because AI is in everything now. So you have no choice. You just don't consciously use it. But there's people who are fearful and worrisome. They're concerned about artificial intelligence. Rightfully so. And the idea that AI could, become this godlike figure, this all-powerful, greater than you and I, and greater than he kind of being, not just a technology, but a sentient, conscious being. And I'm not throwing that out the window. I think that's in fact, I think it's way more possible today than it was ever. But as much as you fear this AI driven world, as much as concern you have with it, and as much as you can see the writing on the wall, how sideways it can go. We've talked about it on the show. We'll talk about it again today for sure. I'm certain of it. But I feel like quantum computing has now entered the room. And it's terrifying. It's terrifying because you trust you and I trust me, but we don't trust them. And those who have this power are the them. Does anybody really want Microsoft to have the amount of power that could logically confuse a logical brain into thinking that what they're looking at is God? That's kind of scary. So, Microsoft announced this week that they have had this breakthrough, and they essentially, so we have 3 states of matter: solid, liquid, and gas. And apparently, they have not created, but discovered a 4th state of existence, a 4th matter. And it is a word that I've never heard before, but it's called topological conductors. And essentially, no, let me rephrase this. Not essentially. I do not say essentially again, Tony, on this, because essentially says, let me boil it down for you. I'm actually not boiling anything down. I'm actually trying to reach up right now. The way it seems to be described is that it has the ability to hold, say, a shape and simultaneously have another shape that resembles the original shape. It can mold, it can change itself within a certain confine of its own state of existence. The way I heard it described made me think, and I've never seen this movie, by the way, but I've seen a lot of the commercials and trailers for it, and I think it's actually coming to Netflix soon, so maybe I'll watch it. But the movie Venom, I think it's called Venom. That makes sense, Venom. The one where it's like the black thing takes over the guy. That's kind of what I picture this as, like some kind of microscopic thing that can, let's not do microscopic. Let's do a thing. Let's just make it bigger for ourselves for me to understand. It's like this thing that can take different forms as long as it resembles something of its original form. Kind of like, yeah, I don't know. That's about as good as I got for you. So, but this new matter, from what I understand, they're taking and putting it on their microchips, and I guess it's called a qubit. So 1 qubit of this new matter being put on a microchip, and they have 8 qubits right now that they're operating this microchip on, and they have hopes and they have assumptions that they can fit up to 1 million qubits of this new matter on a single microchip. And what this, I guess, is doing is and this, I guess, this microchip is some kind of quantum chip. I don't know what I'm talking about. but I found it fascinating, so I wanted to share it with you. By putting this stuff on the chip, they're creating this new quantum computing ability that is going to take quantum computing and times it by a million. It's amplifying quantum computing, and this quantum computing essentially is, and many of you know what quantum computing is way better than I do. The first time I was introduced to quantum anything was this idea of quantum physics back in like 2000, I'd say 16. How many of you guys give me a thumbs up in the chat if you remember a guy named Nathan Rio from the Bigfoot world back in the day? I'd say about 10 years ago. He was real popular, really popular, because he was a highly intelligent person. And he had great thoughts on the topics. And he started talking to me. Like, we got connected and we were on the phone, and he started talking to me about quantum physics and how it relates to Bigfoot. And then Ron Moorhead came out with a book called Quantum Bigfoot. And apparently, I've been told a lot of the thoughts that I have about these topics have to do with the quantum. But that was my introduction to this stuff. But essentially, I did it again. I said the word essentially. From what my understanding, quantum computing will take our linear way of thinking, where if you do certain orders of action, you get a specific result, and you can have a theory or an idea that if I do this and this, I think this will happen, and you do those two steps, and then it doesn't happen. And so you like, okay, let me do this step and this step and see if it happens. And you kind of just do process of elimination until you find the solution to what you're trying to accomplish. With quantum computing, it takes every possible course of action that is not even in your own consciousness. These are courses of action that you can't comprehend, that you don't even know exists, that you never in a trillion infinity amount of time would ever come to the conclusion to even try this order of things to get what you want, your desired outcome. It takes all of those at one time and finds the right answer to your problem simultaneously, all at once. And they're using this new form of matter within quantum computing to basically power up quantum computing. And it's described as a single chip with millions of qubits could replace all the computing power of every data center on Earth. So that is like, you take every data center with all the RAM and cloud space, one single chip with millions of qubits. Now they're down to, they have 8 right now, but one single chip with 1 million qubits could replace all the computing power in the world. I did it again, power in the world. So that's what we're talking about as far as power goes. Imagine a chip, a quantum computing chip that replaces every computer on the planet Earth. Sounds interesting. And well, it is interesting. I think it could do a lot of good, and I think that's what they're going to do to sell it to us. This idea, this new form of existence. By the way, there's no stopping this. There's no stopping this. You're not going to. I mean, just like AI, like I think everybody's probably pretty much understanding at this point that you're not stopping artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is here, and so is this quantum computing chip that they're now talking about merging with AI. So it's like AI on steroids. Like, if AI isn't smart enough, let's put this quantum computing chip in AI. What are we doing? What are we doing? Because I got this feeling that we're replacing ourselves. And you know what? I'm down for this action. Like, let's go. Let's do it. Like, if we're gonna do it, let's do it right. And just, I mean, listen. With my theological perspective, I'm just fine. Like, I'm not worried about it. Okay. Some of y'all heathens might have problems, but not me. I'm good. So bring it on. Robot killing, AI driven, psychopathic, quantum computing, man-made gods. Bring it on. Because that's where we're going with this. I see we got Vicki Joy here in the queue, and we're going to bring her on in a second. So stay tuned for the better part of the show. But just to kind of give you guys another perspective, I suppose. Also, this is my attempt to give my wife a shout out because I don't talk about her work enough. She's the everything. She's everything to you. She's everything to me. She's everything to all of us. Okay. Without my wife, none of this happens. I promise you. So my wife runs a blog on our website. Okay. So if you go to the website, theconfessionalspodcast.com, you hit the read section, she does all those posts. I haven't touched it in years. I won't touch it. I don't want to touch it. I got enough things to write. By the way, I have a contract sitting in my email from a book publisher who wants me to write a book. So it looks like I'm going to probably do that. So stay tuned for that. What other announcements can I tell you real quick? New t-shirt coming, merkmerch.com. There's a new t-shirt coming. It's in production now. Members are probably going to get the first crack at it, but it's cool. And there's a new short, and can I stress enough, short documentary coming to merkelfilms.com. Please don't email saying that was too short when I'm telling you it's short. Read the description. But it is a prelude to a much larger documentary. And so this documentary is going to be the larger and the shorter, but it's all in one house about the Sierra Sounds and Ron Moorhead's journey. And so you can look forward to that coming out very soon. Not telling you when, but it's coming very soon. Shouldn't even be talking about it now because I told the producer of the documentary, the director, to not talk about it. And here I am talking about it because it's midnight and I'm losing my freaking mind. So look forward to that though, merkelfilms.com. Yeah, I'm working on crap. Stay tuned. So my wife has this blog, and just so happens on the 10th of February, she has a headline that says, "The March of the Machines. Figure AIs plan to unleash 100,000 humanoid workers." What? What? What's that, Dad? My dad and I used to argue all the time about how automation was years away. We don't have to worry about it, son. And I told him, I said, Dad, I think you're going to be out of a job of driving truck before you turn 65. And I think that's true. So Figure AI just made another chilling move toward robotic future. The company has secured its second major U.S. partner with the CEO, Brett Adcock, actually, hinting that up to 100,000 humanoid robots could be deployed within 4 years. While the identity of this corporate giant remains a mystery, speculation runs wild. So these robots they're talking about, I'm trying to find my notes here. Where are my notes? Where are my notes at? Where are my notes at? Is my notes? No. There they are. Bring this over here. Sorry, I need a producer. Also, I need to do live shows that aren't midnight. All right. So they're talking about this 100,000 AI robots to be put into industry, working in warehouses and replacing jobs, essentially. But what's going to happen is it's not going to stop there, right? It's going to continue. They're going to keep. In fact, it's not only going to continue. These are wars within wars. So there's a war of superiority in the world. How can we get there? Nation states are fighting and warring with each other to be superior, and they're going to use technology to do that. And within the technology war, there are wars within those wars. And we have these AI robots, and it's not just figure AI's job to create these 100,000 robots. It's not they're not the only ones on this mission. There is Tesla, Boston Dynamics, and even our friends across the world, China. They're pushing really hard to actually have their country aims to flood its industries with humanoid robots by 2027. So there's like a real race for technological dominance. And you have these AI robots, but when you bring in this quantum computing chip being put in these AI robots, now we're talking about like complete replacing anything. Like you're talking jobs, you're talking about a lot. But these robots in China are already popping up, and I don't know if y'all saw what was making its rounds on the internet not too long ago. Actually, I just saw it this week, so I assume it's very new. Let's pull this up here, add the stage. So look at this little robot guy here. Let me make him a little bigger. There we go. So this is in China, and this robot, I don't know the story. I don't know if anybody really knows the story because it's coming out of China, but this robot that they had marching around had some beef with some people wearing masks, apparently, like that robot, he doesn't even have a head. He's just kind of like got this weird neck thing and missing the head. And he got jealous because he had a whole crowd of people there taking pictures of him. And he saw that they had heads, and with a head, they had the masks on. He must have gotten jealous because he went over to the crowd and got all aggressive and started like jumping at him. Like, what? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Like a juvenile. That's scary. Look at the movements of that thing. It looks sentient. It looks human. And they want to put quantum chips in these things. We got problems. And I'll tell you what. Vicki Joy Anderson's here to solve them. So let's bring on Vicki Joy Anderson. Vicki, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. I'm crashing your party, dude.
No, you're doing great. I'm just over here rambling and word vomiting on the microphone, trying to. So I found out. So here's the thing. Let me tell you something, Vicki. Let me tell you this. Yeah. So I found out. I had a meeting with a company about 2-3 weeks ago. We're in talks right now about possibly bringing me on, and the guy I was talking to our meeting was supposed to go. This is often with me. A meeting scheduled for 30 minutes and it winds up going an hour. And it's because I talk a lot. And I told the guy after I got done rambling and I felt bad. I said, sorry, man, I got ADHD and just kind of goes crazy. And he goes, oh, it's okay. I word process too. Or what did he say? He said, yeah, he said word process. I think is what he said.
Interesting.
And I was like, word process. Oh, he said, I'm a word processor too. I think that's what he said. Or verbal processor. There we go. I knew it sounded wrong.
Gotcha.
So he's like, I'm a verbal processor too. And I was like, I've never been called a verbal processor. What's that? You know? And I started thinking about it and I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. And so basically what I just did was verbal process really bad. And so I'm over here trying to understand quantum computing chips that Microsoft has come out with. And apparently we don't need to worry about it. I'm worried about it, but I don't understand it. All I understand is that the world's ending, Vicki. So just take me off the ledge. Like, what's going on back there?
Hey, I can't. We're jumping off the ledge, and we're gonna get wings, so it doesn't matter. But hey, I'm glad that you laid down the whole entire foundation of that, so I don't have to. But
did I, Vicki? I really lay it down?
You verbally processed the layman's terms, I guess. I don't know, man. No, you did a good job. So it's so ironic. Yesterday, for like a couple hours, I was online just reading all the articles about this and freaking out. And so I'll just tell you, I'm going to put a tease out there, you guys. The reason why that came across my feed and why I was interested and spent hours reading about it is I've been working over a year on my next book, and it's AI related. And I don't want to say it's AI related because everyone's going to get an idea in their mind. And I'm not talking like short circuit, no disassembled number 9. They're taking over the world garbage. It's coming from more of a biblical and an anthropological point of view. It's an aspect of AI that I don't think people are talking about. There's stuff I would just love to tell everybody right now because the research has been amazing, but I got to keep my mouth shut. But I will tell you a few things. So I'm reading all these articles yesterday, and I'm right with you, Tony. I'm underneath the cage of the monkeys in North Carolina. You know, like I know how to use a laptop barely. And dude, I'm a little older than you. I go all the way back to 5th grade. We got a computer lab in our school, and it was these big like television monitors hooked to the keyboard. It was I don't know why I still remember this, dude. TRS-80 made by Radio Shack.
Jeez.
Okay. And all you could do on it, there's no disk drives, there's like nothing. The only thing you could do on this thing was program. So we learned BASIC, and I remember tests, you know, BASIC stands for binary access symbolic instructionary code. RAM stands for random access memory. Like that, we would take tests on this at 10 years old. And so we would sit there, line 10, line 20, go to 10. And we'd hit a button. After you had like 100 lines of something, it would just like put one word on the screen, you know? Oh my goodness. So that's kind of, you know, where I go back and went, man, I did some web stuff for one of my first jobs, and it was back into like Dreamweaver, where you would go back in to like make a web page and you were typing in the code and everything, right? So I don't know where we're at now because it's so easy now that I still have all this complicated stuff in my head that totally outdated. But the things that I look for when I'm reading articles, and whether it's politics or religion or current events or especially AI stuff, is you look for what Gary Wayne would call the legomenon language, or, you know, the double blind, the occult blind, like what are the numbers saying? What are the letters saying? And as a journalist, as a writer, I always think if you have a limited, like if you're a journalist and you're on the tech beat and you're told, you know, by science.net or whatever, Microsoft's got this new chip, you have to write a 500-word article. You have to write a 1,000-word article. So as a writer, you're going to pick the most important details. You're going to say the things that have to be said. Think of what could be said about this chip. 17 years in production, the technology, the wave of the future, and they're limiting it to information that they think is the most crucial bits of information that we have to know. So think in terms of predictive programming, if you believe in that stuff. Every article that I read when it was talking about is it topological? Is that what they're calling it? The stacking?
Yes. Topological. Yes.
Okay. They had in every article to tell us that the way that they're stacked, and they're created atom by atom. Remember that? The way that they are stacked is they make the shape of the letter H. Who cares? Why do we need to know that? What are they telling us there? And this is just the way my brain works, guys, so I apologize in advance. Tony's a verbal processor.
I'm digging this already. I'm like, ooh, letter H sounds mysterious.
I'm a nonsense processor, you guys. Oh my goodness. So anyway, here's the part, Tony, where I get all the emails the next day telling me I'm a witch. But no, seriously, guys. Why is it? Who cares if it's shaped like an H? How come every single writer in all of these articles on all these different websites have to tell us that? So I looked up what's the occult significance of the letter H, because I've heard of things like this was significant back with the Nazis, the HH, which was like the Heil Hitler. And you've got that, like the reverse image, because an H is the same backwards and forwards. And so you've got all of that. You can do as above, so below imagery with, like there's certain letters that are almost like palindromes, like backwards and forwards, and H is always going to look the same. So when you duplicate them, it's a mirror image. It's all duality, occult kind of stuff. They ascribe an astrological object to every letter, and H, no one's going to be surprised. I'm looking at the chat here because I'm waiting for someone to beat me to it. The H is symbolic of the planet Saturn.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And
interesting.
So that makes me think, do these topological stacks have to look like H's? Or did you just want them to look like H? Like, is there something in the circuitry where it's got to be an H? Or are you just trolling us? Or did you, I don't know. But it was fascinating to me. And this well, I've got other little tidbits, but I don't know. I'm going to throw it to you so that I'm not verbal processing all over the place.
No, it's fine. The Saturn worship is something that's becoming quite popular and popping up in the UFO disclosure community. They don't call it that, and I don't know if all of them even understand that's what they're getting involved in. But I think that there are some people that I think do know what they're involved in because they're part of the con. But then I think there are some other people who are just very naive and walking a dangerous line. Yeah. And so the fact that it has ties to that just kind of brings back the idea of, the return of the gods.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Exactly.
That's pretty wild. That's pretty wild, actually, because now we're talking about the return of the gods. Wow.
I know.
So we're talking about putting this concept into the AI, quantum computing. We're giving a house for the gods to live in.
Yep. The Betels. So Bethel, the Hebrew word Bethel, Bet-El, El, God, Bet, house, Bethlehem, house of bread, Bet-El, house of God. When Jacob renamed Luz Bet-El, house of God, okay, I'm about to go on a tangent, you guys.
Please.
Take a bathroom break, do what you need to do. I'm about to verbal process the heck out of this thing. Okay. Bet El. When Jacob went, interesting, Tony, I didn't even plan this. Jacob, we're about to talk about the stairway to heaven. Guess what? The H in occult numerology, I guess it's not a number, in occult meaning, the symbol or meaning of the letter H is cultivation, fence or limitation, soul's window, or ladder to heaven. Now, Luz, Jacob, everybody thinks that everybody in the Bible, I know everybody doesn't think it, right? We tend to sometimes think that all the good guys in the Bible are born again, evangelical, modern American Christians and know everything we know and whatnot. These were ancient people. Jacob was not a Baptist or a Lutheran, and we don't even know, because life was pretty hard by the time he got to Luz, right? He had made some mistakes. There was some falling out with the family. He was living probably with the consequences of deceiving his own father. He's now estranged from his own family. And so all this stuff is going on, right? He didn't go. I don't think he went to Luz to talk to the God of Grandpa. Like, I'm going to go and talk to Yahweh. I'm in trouble. Luz was a really interesting place. And I'll try not to totally nerd out on you here, but Luz was basically Tony, you'll like this. It was a portal city where people went. It was kind of like their version of the ayahuasca trips, right? They would go to Luz, and very fascinating. It says that Jacob used one of the stones there as a pillow. Again, why does the writer add these little details? He didn't just pull up a little rock and stick it under his neck. Luz was filled with Jupiter lapis, which is it's kind of like sea glass. If you guys have ever seen sea glass, when rocks that are by the ocean get pounded and pounded by the water and by the waves, they turn into like these gemstones. They're shiny, like marbles. Jupiter lapis is what happens when meteorites that have come into the Earth's atmosphere, if it's at the right speed and velocity and temperature, when they hit the ground, instead of it being black obsidian, it's this yellow, greenish, smooth stone. It's called Jupiter lapis. And what Luz was this minefield, so to speak, of this Jupiter lapis. And it had psychedelic properties, probably because it's alien, right? It's from meteors that have come from outside of the Earth's atmosphere. And this, you guys, this totally, absolutely 100% ties into quantum computing. You have to bear with me here. He laid his head on that stone because he was hoping to connect to the spirit realm, because he was desperate and in need, and he was fearful, and he needed a word. The same way in our culture, where someone who's maybe not biblically read would get to a super desperate spot, so they would like go to a psychic and have like their palm read or something, right? He was desperate, and he went expecting to have this communication with a God or a spirit. And when the real God showed up, the God of Dad and Grandpa showed up, he named it Bet El, House of God, because the real God showed up. Now, this is one of those areas, Tony, where if people really understood what they were reading, they'd be offended. They'd be uncomfortable. There'd be cognitive dissonance. What is Jacob even doing at Luz? That would be like if you found out your pastor went to a Hollywood party to witness to people. You'd be like, what was he doing there? You'd be offended. You would question this. What in the world? Why is Almighty God showing up in a place where false gods show up? Why is he allowing someone who's basically practicing divination to reach the real God? This is extremely offensive to a believer. This should be offensive to us. So there's so much more to this too, Tony. If you really delve into the Hebrew meaning of stairway or ladder, we have artwork, so we think it's just like this ladder or this staircase or something, you know, and we think about all like the Led Zeppelin videos and everything. But what he was probably looking at was a one-dimensional, one side of a ziggurat. Because in the ancient days, when they wanted to ascend and speak to the gods and have communication with the gods, the ziggurat, stepping up and stepping down, that was it was ascension, going up and then being enlightened and then coming back down. And so that stairway was probably a ziggurat to make it even more cognitively dissonant for the believer who thinks all that stuff is evil. Like, why would God use these representations? And so it's very complicated. But these Beit Els, these black stones, these meteorite fragments, like Cybele in Rome, Diana, who came down from heaven that we read about in the New Testament, they were taking stones, okay? And it wasn't just Rome and Greece. The Hawassi stones were, what is it, Tony? It's the book of Jasher, apocryphal book, okay? In the book of Jasher, when Abraham goes home to visit his dad and he's got the room full of those gods, and Abraham gets triggered and he gets mad and he makes all this food to prove that the gods aren't going to eat the food. Those were likely Hawassi stones, and they venerated these stones. They made meals for them. They bathed them. They named them. And so we have to either think people way back when were really, really, really stupid and dumb and lonely, and they all had pet rocks, or those Beit Els, those stones, were just houses that had the ghost in the machine, right? That was their, you know, this is going to be our Beit El. This is what's going to house our gods. And so when you start looking at all of the properties of what was venerated in antiquity and the materials that go into building these AI chips and these semiconductors and whatnot. Tony, I don't know if you've got it right there because I'm not going to remember it offhand, but these new chips that we're talking about tonight, they're made out of aluminum. And is it like irium something, or what was that other one?
I'll look it up real quick.
It was something I'd never heard of before. And here's where my layman ignorance is going to show. But Tony, aluminum and this irium something that you're looking up, I looked both of them up. Okay, first of all, here's another legomenon. The irium thing that you're looking up on the periodic chart of tables, it's number 33. So there you've got a, but anyway, it's toxic to human beings. It's a poisonous element. And so if the infrastructure of our whole country is made up of where every single thing, if it's Internet of Things, where this stuff is everywhere, it's poisonous to humans. So how do they get around that? And again, maybe it doesn't work that way, guys. I'm not a scientist or a chemist or anything like that, but it's alarming when you look these things up and there's skull and crossbones and things all over it. It's two words, and it's something like irium, IRIUM, and then there's a second word like irium dioxide or like whatever. I'm just kind of checking the chat to see if anybody else is checking. So anyway, there's so many other things we could talk about, Tony, like this fourth matter. If you want to talk about black goo, I got some interesting stuff about that. But we have to understand that the Beit Els, they were stones and pillars that fell from heaven. They fell from the sky, and they were various forms of meteorites. And for some reason, these ancient people thought these things were sentient. they talk to them, et cetera, et cetera. Well, now that's pretty much a downgrade from the bodies they had in Genesis, right? Now we're stuck in these stones, but okay, whatever. And we know where we're going, with the transhumanism and Internet of Bodies. And when we get talking about the black goo, I can say a little bit more about that. But the fact is, for the time being, I just wonder how much of our tech, whether we realize it or not, are serving as these Beth-Els. We might not think we're venerating this stuff, but we certainly give a lot of our time and attention to it. And when we see now what some of these chat boxes are capable of doing, at what point is talking to something that's housing chips that are made out of elements, made out of rocks, they're switching now from silicon to silicon carbide. Silicon carbide is only found in its natural form in meteorites. All other forms of silicon carbide are manufactured, they're synthetic in a lab. And so they're using the same materials to power machines that are now going in the direction of sentience. Is that a coincidence that we're using the same raw materials? There's a lot. This is why history in the Old Testament is important, so we don't just keep stumbling over the same things that the ancients stumbled over. I mean, I think that we're just, nothing new under the sun, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
No, I agree with you. It's like time just repeats itself over and over and over again. And this whole move in our civilization from what we knew maybe 30 years ago to now, with this AI and now integrating this quantum computing superpower to the AI, like I honestly don't know how much longer we have as a civilization that has any kind of like literal free will.
Right.
I really do. So I forget where I heard it. I know I mentioned it on a recording at some point recently. I don't know if it's aired yet or not, but like they have, like, they're using AI right now to do pre-crime predicting for financials. So like financial crimes, they're using AI to predict financial crimes before they happen.
Minority Report.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's Minority Report. And of course they're going to do this in other areas. And now you take the idea that this is what they're doing with the AI we have now, but we're like 3, 4, maybe 5 years away from this quantum computing to be in a industrial level scale, and they start integrating the two. Like for the first time in my life, I can actually see how you could literally take my free will away from me.
Yeah.
Because if these things are predicting everything, so say they deem humanity a stain, right, on existence, and they decide, they as in the AI decides that, certain humans are just like, first, like me, you, for sure, me, the people who are listening to this.
Thanks, Tony.
Yeah, you're done. You're so done. But like we will be deemed not even replaceable. It's not the that's not even the word I'm looking for. Like we're deemed not worthy of existing because of our own viewpoints and thoughts. And
Yeah.
our own actions. And so like if this thing gets to that point, which it's already there, they're doing it. They're doing predictive crime with AI on financials. Like it's going to get to a point where AI will be the leader. AI is going to be the enforcer,
Yeah.
the ruler. It's going to be, you know, Donald Trump, president 2016 to 2020, took 4 years vacation. Now he's back. There's that whole conspiracy of him being a time traveler.
Yeah.
And I think the one book I think is called The Last President. And it's called The Last President. And there's this boy, Baron, who goes on these marvelous journeys, and his mentor is this guy named Don. Don's castle is at the same spot as the Trump Tower in New York City. Was it Fifth Avenue or something? And was it 515? Is that his number? I don't remember. Anyways, like I'm not saying that book and that whole thing is like a prophecy or anything like that, but let's just put it out there, because if their timeline for the quantum computing is 4 years, could this AI quantum hybrid supercharged intelligence that is so far beyond human intellect that we don't even exist to it?
Yeah.
Like could it be that there is no real need for human leadership, and that becomes obsolete? And I'm not saying like Trump is the last president, but we're in an era where AI literally is going to be directing and dictating our entire reality.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
And so like this idea that, you know, I'm me and I'm going to do what I want, like, I feel like that's going out the window. Like, I feel like, and that's what I mean by free will. Like you can't take the free will away, because you'll always have that, because that's built inside you. But
they'll
like,
break our will.
Yeah. I feel like the people in China, right? The underground church in China that's exploding, those people, they have their will, they're expressing it, but they have to suppress it and hide it from the CCP, because if they're found out, they're in trouble.
Yeah.
This is so far beyond that, because it's not, you won't be able to express anything in an underground environment. It will be, it's in your head, and it has to stay there, or else as soon as you verbalize something or suggest something, it could even be, because the quantum computer is this quantum chip and the quantum computing aspect of it, because it does all the possible equations simultaneously. It could literally hear you talking about how much you love your pet hamster, and the way your voice fluctuates, it will be able to come to the conclusion whether you're a dissident or not.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And so like there's no hiding your will. There will be no hiding your free will. It will be built inside of you. It can't be taken away from you, but it will be used against you almost immediately.
Yeah.
And you know, is that a dystopian mindset? I'd say so, but I mean, I honestly think that's where it's going. Like, I mean, yes, they're going to talk about the medical advancements and the technological advancements, and the idea that you know, I'm trying to think of a problem that needs to be solved outside of cancer. Like, cancer is the easy one, right? But like
world peace,
world
poverty.
poverty, the world hunger, like yeah, like it will. It's the good side, right? Like like this is what will be dished out, right? So like the good side of it will be, you know, I don't even know if this is applicable. I don't know if this is applicable, but like say you have a keyboard and you're typing it into the quantum computer. I don't even know if that's a thing. But you type in, I need you to figure out how to solve world hunger where everybody goes to bed at night with a full stomach. And I want you to do it so that at the same time, everybody's being fed. All those people and everybody else that isn't starving all have abundance of wealth because of you make it up however it happens. Like you could create this almost impossible equation and it will happen instantaneously. Boom. Here's the blueprint. Here's how to do it. Get it done. All you have to do is follow the steps and it's done. Like because it computes everything for infinity all at one time. Like we're talking about that kind of power.
Yeah.
And there, and so now you want to ask that kind of power. Do I want Microsoft having that? Nope. Do I want my government having that? No. Do I want any elite group organization having that? Not at all. I don't want anybody having that.
Right.
But somebody's going to have it, and whoever has it is going to rule the world until the AI quantum god decides that person, that group is obsolete. Yeah. Like I really feel like this is like the beginning of like some kind of crazy movie where like we're all going to be running around in the desert like Mad Max. It's
totally. We'll be wishing for that. Well, and what's even scarier of a prospect is everything they do, they is contractual. They have to have our permission. So they find ways of legally and binding us into corners where we have no choice. So if you have a birth certificate that your mom signed, you have signed away certain rights for that child, and they're now part of the system. You got a social security number, and you got to, you got to get your driver's license, and you got to pay taxes. Like you agreed to that. You're paying taxes because you agreed to that. You didn't, but your mom put you under that yoke unknowingly because she signed the birth certificate that got filed at the Department of Treasury for some reason. So anyway, there's another tangent, there's another show. But here's the deal. Every time we're using all of these systems and software and phones, and I mean, every day we're scrolling through a whole bunch of text that we're not reading, and we're clicking boxes and we're signing our names. We are agreeing to this system. And if we have a laptop one day, and I'm in agreement with you, Tony, we're never going to see this good stuff. This stuff isn't to make our lives easy. It's to enslave us. But if we have quantum stuff in our computers and we sign our licensing agreement and we do all this and that, they can do whatever they want with whatever we've just signed away. And so we are legally, contractually bound to these things, because if we were to unwind ourselves from everything we've agreed to at this point, what would we do? Live in a field and eat grass and drink rainwater and lay out there buck naked? Every single thing we touch, we are bound up in it, and even just having a job and getting a paycheck and having an HR department or having health insurance, like a driver's license, all of this is contractual.
I feel like we're yeah, we're all doomed. Everybody have a good night.
we're not
No, we're not. Like that's the thing. Like I mean,
kick some tail when Jesus comes back.
Absolutely. Like as crazy as like this whole thing is, like at the end of the day, like I win. I'm good. Like it's I guess that's why I can smile through it.
Yeah.
Like I don't have that that fear. Like
Well, okay, we're on the same page. That's exactly where I was going, because I was going to say the goal of the believer isn't to obtain some perfect hiding place or to escape the room. The goal of the Christian is, if we obtain true fearlessness, and that doesn't mean we don't ever get scared or whatever, but if we live in a state of fearlessness, like even just what happened in 2020, a lot of the things that people did against their free will, they didn't want to do it. A lot of Christians did things in 2020 they didn't want to do, but they had to, because I got to keep feeding my family. I got to keep getting this paycheck. And so they were cornered and they had to do things that they didn't want to do. And I don't know how to say this, Tony, because I'm not criticizing the way we did things in 2020. It was untested. We didn't expect any of this. We'd never been tried this way before. It was our test run. But we have to take more seriously that fear of man is a sin. And when we sin, we open up footholds for the enemy. And we have to get to a place where we can truly live out. Do not be afraid of those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. Rather be afraid of the one who can destroy both soul and body in hell. We have to fear God more than these people and their diabolical agendas and all their mandates. And we cannot fear those who kill the body. It's going to kill us. We will die physical deaths if we fear man, because we're headed in a place where we have to be like David. And when the whole army is cowering and not making a move, we're like, where's that brook? Because I'm picking up 5 stones right now. Or like Esther, if I perish, I perish. I don't know, Tony. I talk now in the comfort of my little office here, but man, I hope if I'm around when the crap hits the fan, I hope that I run at whatever it is and say, how dare you, you uncircumcised robot? You're going down. I hope. I hope I can put my money where my mouth is. I hope I have as much courage in the face of that than as I can say sitting here naively in the comfort of my own home, never having suffered in my life.
Yeah. No, I know.
Easy to talk.
I know. I think it was just recently, like what, 70 Christians were killed.
Yep.
By, was it ISIS or Al Qaeda? I can't remember.
I can't remember.
But yeah, like it's like one of those things where you can, and it's good. You should theorize. You should think about these things. I mean, I don't want to tell people what to think about, but like, I mean, if you're thinking about this stuff, I think it's a good thing, because you got to be prepared, right? Because I mean, at the end of the day, there have been, I just bumped my desk. Oh, sorry about the shaking. There have been like, thousands of years of people who have died for their faith and their beliefs and things. And it's easy to sit on this side of it and say, if I was that, I'd do the same thing. And then it's another thing to be looking death in the eye. And
I know. Well, and I don't have any, like, they don't have any leverage on me, Tony. Like, my dad is 79 years old, and what are you
trying to say?
He's not going to live forever, though I do say.
That's what I thought you were saying. Like, my dad's on his way out anyways. What are you going to do? Like, you going to kill him?
That's not what I meant. In fact, this old coot's going to outlive me, and I'm not joking. But here's the deal. What I'm saying is, other than my dad, there's nothing, and we've already had these talks, by the way. Dad has said, and I have said, we all have already come to an agreement that if it comes down to, we're going to do what's right, regardless if the other person is at stake. You know what I mean? Because we've had to plan in advance, like what happens. But other than my dad, I have a really convenient position in my life where I can say, screw it all. Because there's no kid or baby or grandkid depending on me. There's no husband or wife that needs my income or my insurance. Like I can afford to be reckless with my own life, because when I perish, the government shows up and throws me in a mass crematory grave. You know what I mean? No one cares. There's no ancestors, there's no strings to tie up if I go. So unfortunately, maybe that has put me in a position with my idealistic black and white way of thinking that when it comes to this kind of thing, I can be reckless with my life. But I understand that most people in the church who have husbands or wives or children or grandchildren can't be, I don't care what they say, I'll die right here, because not everyone has that luxury, right? And so I have to really be careful. I gotta hold myself back sometimes. I don't want to judge decisions that people made in 2020, for example, because if I had wound up in prison for a decision I made, who cares? It's me and I can deal with it. So no one's sitting there without a paycheck or grocery money if I'm sitting in prison. So I have the luxury of being reckless with this, but I have to understand that not everyone has that luxury. And so that's why we don't judge other people. And I think it's also,
it's okay.
Well, another thing I really thought about in 2020 as Christians were making different decisions about how they were going to handle this tyranny, right? I had to realize that God has different agendas with people. For some people, maybe they needed to learn courage in 2020. Maybe they had to get over fear of man. For other people, maybe they had to learn humility. Hey, I know you don't want to wear a mask, but you're going to do it because you have a family to feed and you're going to prioritize your family over your idealism. So people had different things that they might have had to have learned. And the fact is, we don't know. Some of us are going to be alive in the end times. Some of us aren't. Some of us are not going to make it, and some of us are, might not be alive anymore when that happens. So here's the deal. The way the trials and the various tests that we have to go through are very specific to the things that we're going to need. Like if God is calling us to a certain martyr death, we're going to go through certain trials that other people don't go through because he's preparing us for what we're called to do. So if I'm being called to do something really difficult and my neighbor here isn't, maybe they're not going to need the fruit of that, right? Because they're going to have a different. So in the end times, if you've got people dying in valor, there's going to be people like David that are like, I am charging this Philistine. And you're going to have people that die in valor. You're going to have people that maybe go to the FEMA camps and they're the martyrs and they have a different type of a valor. There's going to be people, who might remain to the end. If we all have, I don't know, Tony, I don't want to get into controversial territory here, but we all have this doctrine that every single Christian on planet Earth at one time is going to meet the same fate. But what if we don't? What if we meet different fates and then God has to prepare our character and test our mettle in different ways to meet the fate that he's called us to face? Not Stephen and Peter and the disciples, they had to go through certain things. They came to terrifying ends, and they needed the courage for that. Whereas millions of Jews and Christians since the first century have died peacefully in their bed surrounded by their family, So that's kind of the way I look at even suffering and trials and things like that. Like instead of woe is me or feeling sorry for myself or God, why are you making me do this? It's like, okay, whatever the Lord is sovereignly allowing me to go through right now must be because it's going to save my butt later on. Like I must need this crucible for a reason. So I'm not going to kick against it. I'm going to let patience have its perfect work, like it says to do in James, so that I can be perfect and complete and lack in nothing. Because if he's trying to teach me how to load and shoot, an AK, and I say, I don't want to do that. It's scary, and it's too, I don't want to do it. And then 3 years later, I'm like, man, I really wish I had known how to load and shoot that AK. So like, we gotta just trust him, this is so corny, Tony. You remember the movie Signs?
I love that movie.
I do too. Thank you. No one gets it. I
it.
love that movie. We might have a swing away Meryl moment.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So now you got me thinking about Signs.
I know. Oh man, I love that movie.
That movie, that movie changed a lot of perspective for me when I was young about the idea of aliens and what it could actually look like.
Yeah.
Like I walked away. That was one of the first movies I think I ever walked away from saying, "Oh, I think that could happen if aliens are real. I think that could happen." And then here we are, and we're being force-fed a supernatural disclosure by the very people who told us for generations that God doesn't exist, and now they're saying, "But here's a supernatural disclosure for you. Open up."
Yeah, right.
Man. It's like, okay, but anyways, that those people, they're saying aliens are real, or NHI, so you can define it. And I do, and then they tell me I'm wrong, and I say, well, tell me what NHI is. Well, I can't tell you that. Just it's not human intelligence. Okay, so it's from another realm, and it's this, that, and the other. No, it's not that. Okay.
Oh,
All right, I got it. Okay, so Vicki Joy Anderson, I think I am going to start bringing this in. How long have we been going? For an hour and 41 minutes.
Woo!
So that's plenty long enough, I think. So I gotta tell people that let me pull it up here before I bring it up. I got Vicki Joy Anderson on the books to come back on the show. I'm trying to find it.
Yeah, is it July?
Yes. No, it's August. Oh, it's July 28th. You and I and Dr. Laura Sanger are coming together for a heater of a conversation because I think I'm going to just sit there and listen. And I was like, I will do my job. I will hit record and let y'all have some fun. And I will just facilitate because I've had a lot of people recently suggesting, things like this is a common one too. So people have been saying, I wish you would do a talk where you talk about what it means to test the spirits.
Okay.
And how do you test the spirits? And things like that. Yep. And this actually goes into the conversation I think we could probably hit with you and Dr. Laura Sanger, because what we're going to be doing is doing a conversation about spiritual warfare tactics. Because we've been getting an influx of people asking questions, and I'm like, I think we need to give them the answers. And so, we get a lot of. Also, this is we'll see if this works or not. But I'm trying a new tactic, I guess, of when I see a lot of people asking the same questions. Maybe I can do an episode where those questions are answered. And then when those questions come into the emails, we can just drop a link. Listen to this. Listen to this.
Love it.
And so I think this is my first time attempting something like that. But Laura Sanger and Vicki Joy, collabing on the Confessionals. We're
Wow.
recording it July 28th. And I imagine because it's you two, we will push that out sometime relatively quickly into August. Looking forward to it.
Me too.
And I think it's gonna be fun. So
It
I
will.
have it. What's this? I'm trying to see here. Does anybody in the chat? Oh, wait, hang on a second. Nope. Okay. Never mind. Anyways, I'm sorry. See, my mind just goes. But you
Squirrel.
can't blame me. It's almost 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm gonna get like 4 hours of sleep by the time I get home, and then have to get up and read my Bible before I go to church. So I'm tired. And yeah. Hold on a second. What's this? Candy in the chat says, don't blame Tony. I'd be lazy too. What am I being lazy about?
For just hitting record, I think.
Oh, yeah. Well,
yeah.
It's not laziness. It's being self-aware, looking around the room and realizing you're the third of the three. Like,
Stop.
like that's what it is. It's like, oh, let's see here. Do I talk and interject, or do I let them just cook? I think I'll let them cook. And then I'll just be the happy camper eating off the plate. That's what I'll be doing. You guys cook, I'll feast. Sound good?
I like that. I like that. Well, I'll be doing plenty of feasting myself, getting to hang out with Laura, so that'll be great.
Yeah, absolutely. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. And the reason why we're so far out is because that's as early as we could book her. She's a busy lady.
Laura, not me. I've got virtually nothing to do but eat nachos.
That's why you're talking to me at 1 o'clock in the morning. She's like, I got nothing to do. What's this loser doing? Oh, let's hop on this live thing and see what we can shake out.
Oh yeah, you just blew my cover. Right now, I tell people I'm too busy, and now everyone knows I don't got a thing to do.
Well, Vicki, I'm gonna let you be. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me on. Thanks for everyone in the chat.
Yeah, no,
I'm hanging out.
I want to start doing more lives. Actually, Vicki, I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna let you go, and I'll tell the people, and then I'm gonna wrap this up.
All right.
I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Yep.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
So Vicki's awesome. We love her on the show, and she is just a joy. Vicki Joy is a joy. And I want to start doing more lives, guys. I was getting in a routine of it earlier last year, and then school started, and Wednesday morning wake ups became a very impossible thing. Didn't see that one coming. So my wife and I are juggling our schedule, and I'm gonna start she's gonna probably start picking up my son from school more often, and that's gonna allow me more time to work, because it's been very hard to keep everything afloat with the amount of time that I have during the day. So like I take the kid to school, and by the time I get to the office, it's about 8:15. And by 2 o'clock, I need to be winding things up, because I got to go to his school and sit in a car line and pick him up. And so, I'm getting less than 6 hours of actual time to work. And during that time, you're doing meetings, you're doing interviews, and those take time. And it's just like, you come in here and you sit down, and you have these ideas, and you want to create stuff, you want to do lives, and you want to have all this stuff going, and then it's gone. So we're juggling our schedule right now, trying to find a way for me to actually work not this time of day, because that's what winds up happening. I go to get the kid, and then I take him home, or I take him to practice, and once everybody's in bed, I wind up sitting in my dining room with the lights off, pounding away on my laptop like a weirdo. And that's gotta stop. So this person says, drop out, kid. You know what? if you're suggesting my son drop out of school, I think that's not a bad idea. Maybe we'll work. Maybe we'll pursue that with the first grader. Has there been anybody in this century that's dropped out of school by first grade? Maybe Ben will be the first. So yeah, anyways, I'd like to start doing more lives, and maybe I can work my schedule to do it at least once a week, and all that good stuff. So anyways, I really appreciate you guys hopping in with me and chit chatting. I knew that stinking that quantum physics bull crap. I knew I was gonna have a hard time spitting that out. I almost didn't do it because I knew it was gonna be so stinking hard for me. And I said, "Dare you?" I said, "Dare I?" And I said, "I dare." And I went with it. And so you guys be the judge. You be the judge. If it was bad, you don't gotta tell me. I already know. Uh, but the reason why I wanted to go live was I came in here because after I dropped my family off at the house and I went out and did my chickens, took care of my chickens. I came in here because I was meeting a contractor to go over what new renovations needed to happen. We're renovating another room. Actually, the room behind me over here is getting turned into a green room where people can sit and chill and hang out while interviews are happening, because quite often people bring people and they wind up sitting like right in this general area, and there's a lot of bodies and it gets warm. So we're going to create a green room with a TV that hopefully can broadcast what's going on here out there, and just all that. And we're laying new flooring and painting and all that stuff. And so I had to come in here and meet with him and show him where to put the walls and stuff, because when I'm in Texas next week at the convention, he'll be here doing that, and hopefully it'll be done by the time I get back. And while I was here, I was like, let me go do that live, because I wanted to talk about the Jon Stewart stuff. That's why I went live and talked about that right away. That way, before you guys just stopped listening because I was talking about quantum stuff, you heard that. So it was not Stan Deo, it was Stanton John Willett. Stan Deo's name lives on. I thought it was Stan Dale. You guys listen back to that. Go back. You go back to that episode. And thanks for the super chat, JLaz83. Have you ever heard of a shadow made of light? I have not. Shadow made of light. No, I have not. That's a quick answer. I forget what I was talking about. Oh yeah, so that's why I was in here, and I figured I'd go live and talk about the Jon Stewart stuff. And last night I had that threat come into the email, and so I had to put a PSA out there for you guys. Stay off my property. Don't come to my house. Problems for everybody if you come. How crazy is that, right? So, yeah, I'm out of here. I'm going to wrap this up. I still got probably about an hour and a half, 2 hours of work before I can even go home, because now that I'm done doing this, I have to produce the audio so that can go out to the podcast RSS feed and get that out, because tomorrow I won't have time and then I got to drive to Texas. So I should probably wrap this up. All right, guys, listen, I appreciate you guys hanging in there with me. 400 some people, there was like 400 people watching this thing tonight, and I appreciate every single one of you. I really do. This is what I live to go live. I live to go live. So here we go. I appreciate this.
There's not a man that I fear. There's nobody here that can stop me. Cause I'm in a league of my own, yeah. Y'all can just sit back and watch me. They know who I am, they can't imitate. Don't stay in your lane, I'ma set it straight. I'm putting my way to the top. You get in my way, you know that I'ma renovate. You know I'm about to lock it. I'm the monster they was looking for, just like the Loch Ness. They think they gon' knock me off the throne, they better stop it. They can never reach me where I'm at, I'm in a rocket cockpit. In other words, you can't touch me. It's like I got the ball and it's rugby. And you won't see me when I'm coming through. You can't stop me, I'm running through. I'm untouchable, yeah. 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 V5 from. I'm the giant that they running from. Taking shots, I think they jump the gun. If they go against me, then they done. You cannot handle this. I don't think you can pay for the damages. I'm the one that's gonna be in first place. You gon' need first aid. Think you need bandages. You know I'm about to lock it. I'm the monster they was looking for, just like the Loch Ness. They think they gon' knock me off the throne, they better stop it. They can never reach me where I'm at. I'm in a rocket cockpit. In other words, you can't touch me. It's like I got the ball and it's rugby. And you won't see me when I'm coming through. You can't stop me, I'm running through. I'm untouchable.